Wheel-O-Matic settings and options. The main Wheel-O-Matic panel is where you automate a wheel. The settings are a little different for bone-driven wheels versus mesh wheels, and we'll cover mesh-driven wheel first. The first thing you see when driving a mesh-driven wheel is the forward axis. By default, this is set to auto. Auto means that Wheel-O-Matic will try its best to guess what direction your wheel should roll and what axis to rotate on. If for some reason it guesses incorrectly, you can manually override what axis you would like to automate on. Next up in a mesh wheel setup is the automate button. You've probably already clicked on this. This is what automates your wheel. I'm going to undo that, and let's look at a bone-driven wheel. With a bone-driven wheel, you'll notice that when you select a bone, you have some other options here in the main panel for Wheel-O-Matic for automation. Firstly, this section will display whatever bone you have selected, which lets you know what bone you're about to automate. Next, we have our reference wheel geo. The reference wheel geo is needed so that the bone knows the dimensions and position of the wheel mesh that it's about to drive. You can select the wheel mesh by either clicking into this area or using the eyedropper. Once you have your reference mesh selected, this same forward axis option is available. Again, by default, it uses auto, and auto should automatically calculate the forward axis for your wheel. If it does not, you can always override it, choosing X or Y to override. Lastly, click Automate to have Wheel-O-Matic automate the rotation of the bone. Next up in the user interface is the Adjust panel. In the Adjust panel, when you select an automated mesh or an automated bone, you will see options related to adjusting the automation. If I was to select this automated mesh, you'll now see that we have the name of the mesh highlighted, as well as the option to change rotation power and radius. Radius should only ever need to be adjusted if the locator at the bottom of your wheel does not match the bottom of the wheel. As you can see, when I slide this, it changes where Wheel-O-Matic thinks the bottom of the wheel is. This should rarely need to be changed. Rotation power, however, can be used to override how strong the automatic rotation of Wheel-O-Matic is. By default, it's set to 1. 1 meaning the wheel should roll as you would expect. Setting this to a lower value would mean that the wheel would slip, and setting it to 0 means that the wheel would not rotate at all. Setting it to a negative value would mean that the wheel would roll in reverse. The same options are available for a bone-driven wheel: rotation power and radius. Next up is the Utilities panel. The Utilities panel contains all the remaining options and settings for Wheel-O-Matic. First up is clearing and removing automation. Clear auto rotation resets the automatic rotation back to 0. So for example, if this wheel had moved through the scene, and I for some reason needed the wheel to be back at where it was before it was automated, to restart the automation, I can select the bone and clear auto rotation to say, start the beginning of a render or something like that. Remove automation completely removes the automation. You'll get a warning that says, are you sure you want to do this? And when you hit remove, the wheel is no longer automated. I'm going to undo that, and let's move to the next section. The locator section has options related to the yellow locators that you see at the base of wheels. Toggle locators does exactly that. Turns them on and off for all wheels in the scene. Scale can be used to change their size. Lastly is a few options for the entire scene. Remove stray data will remove any stray Wheel-O-Matic data that may live in the scene. Stray data rarely occurs, but if an automated wheel or bone is deleted, it may leave behind some Wheel-O-Matic data. It does not hurt anything, but if you want to keep your scene perfectly clean, this will get rid of anything that's left behind. Refresh wheel logic. You will probably never ever have to use this, but if you ever run into a situation where your wheels stopped automating, this button would be what you'd want to try to click to bring them back. If this doesn't work, you can always just easily re-automate them. And with that said, that's what all the buttons do.